lots of fun things this year, like learn how to cut in a straight line, make paper collages, go cloud watching. But today, we are going to learn how the rudimentary axiological behaviors procured during the primogenial stages of life can be supplemented throughout your entire existence as a sentient being. Okay? Let me translate that into simpler terms. All I really need to know, I learned in kindergarten. A concept explored in the book by Robert Fulghum, which goes into great detail about how the little things we learn as a kindergartner can be applied more profoundly in our adult lives. Now, I don't know about you, but remembering all the way back to kindergarten isn't exactly easy. I've slept since then. Speech class, on the other hand, that's something that I can identify with. Think about it. Every speech starts with an attention getter, the part that grabs the audience and gets them hooked. A good attention getter can be compared to that of, a good first impression. Maybe one that came as a result of a smooth pickup line guaranteeing a girl's phone number. Your thesis is your mission statement. It's what you want to set out and accomplish, your goals and dreams, which are supported by your values, the equivalents to the main points of your speech. And then every speech comes down to the conclusion. Or in life, a moment when you look back at what you accomplished and acknowledge that you did what you set out to do. Last, but certainly not least, the speech ends with a clincher, something with enough impact to leave the audience sitting in their seats thinking, dang. Isn't that what we hope to achieve in our own lives? When we die, we want the people who knew us to look back at everything we did and the impact we had and say, dang. So you see, speech is life. Like Robert Fulghum, you need to remember the lessons that you're taught and realize that all you really need to know, you learned in speech class. Being wiki-wary by having solid sources and keeping the rein in Spain with good diction aren't just the keys to getting that first in the round, but the keys to a better life. Sources give you, the speaker, credibility and instill confidence in your message, while sources in life, your role models, have the same effect. This brings us to lesson 1. Be wiki-wary. In this digital age that we live in, teachers are always sure to tell us, Wikipedia is not a reliable source. I groan every time I hear it, because while Wikipedia might not be the most reliable, it sure is convenient. You type your topic into Google, and bam! A Wikipedia page is one of the first 3 entries. But this is a rare occasion when your teacher is actually trying to help you and not just sabotaging your life with needless difficulties. Wikipedia posts this, a disclaimer. None of the contributors, sponsors, administrators, or anyone else connected with Wikipedia in any way whatsoever can be held responsible for the appearance of any inaccurate or libelous information. Are you kidding me? What if we all had disclaimers in our own lives? I could just walk up to somebody, slap them across the face, and whip out my disclaimer that says, due to ineffective and unreliable role models in my childhood, my emotional and psychological socialization was neglected. Therefore, I cannot be held responsible for any offense or inappropriate behaviors. However, we are responsible for our actions, but choosing the right role models isn't always easy. I mean, let's be honest. Most kindergartners, when asked who they look up to, are quick to respond with the Wiggles, SpongeBob, or Dora the Explorer. However, one kid just might have had it right. Maddie Stefanik, a boy who liked building Legos, rock collecting, and playing video games, was reading and writing short stories by the age of 3. As a child prodigy, Maddie was asked who his hero was, and he said that when he grew up, he wanted to be just like Jimmy Carter, a peacemaker, so that he could travel the world and share the importance of peace. It was a lofty goal, but he was determined and ended up writing 5 best-selling books of poetry, promoting love and hope and peace, and appeared on shows like Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show, all by the age of 12. Unfortunately, Maddie never did get his chance to travel the world. Born with dysautonomic mitochondrial myopathy, he suffered from disrupted breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. And on June 22nd, 2004, at age 13, Maddie passed away in his mother's arms. At his funeral, former President Jimmy Carter, the man who Maddie had looked up to and admired, delivered a eulogy saying, "I have known kings and queens, and I have known presidents and prime ministers, but the most extraordinary person whom I have ever known in my life is Adria Steuer. A boy bound to a wheelchair and attached to a ventilator was not afraid to follow in the footsteps of a great man and was able to accomplish more in his 13 years of life than most people who live to be 100, all due to the influence of a high-quality role model." This importance of having solid sources is closely followed by lesson 2 in our notes. "Rain in Spain stays heavily on the plain." Good diction gives your message clarity and adds a whole lot of oomph. Unfortunately, Eliza Doolittle learned this the hard way. As Dr. Henry Higgins stuffed marbles in her mouth and forced her to recite endless mantras, Audrey Hepburn's character in the movie My Fair Lady not only loses her thick Cockney accent, but gains the confidence that she needs to take a stand against her father and the society that had suppressed her. The entire point of a speech can be lost without the proper delivery. In a story from Kids Say the Darndest Things, a young kindergartner tells his teacher that he's found a cat, but it was dead. "Well, how do you know the cat was dead?" she asked. Innocently, the child responds, "Because I pissed in its ear and it didn't move." "You did what?" the teacher exclaims in shock. "You know," explains the boy. "I leaned over and went, psst, and it didn't move." I don't think you're feeding a dead cat's ear. The poor boy didn't say this humiliation if he'd spoken with better inflection and timing. In speech class, we learn the importance of paying attention to these details in our delivery, and they can be just as effective in adding impact to our lives. James Earl Jones, an actor best known for voicing such memorable roles as Darth Vader and King Mufasa, relies on his deep, smooth, baritone voice to stand out on and off screen. What most people aren't aware of is that Jones stuttered as a child. Even at a young age, Jones recognized that he didn't want to go through life with a speech impediment, and to overcome it, he spent hours alone in the fields, reading Shakespeare aloud. Smoothing out the rough edges, fine-tuning your behaviors, and making every word and action count are the small things you can do to get that extra oomph in your life. Now, class, it's important to recognize that the content and delivery of a speech go hand in hand. Alone, neither of them hold much sway. But put these two rules together, and you've got one big bad oration on your hands. And really, when you think about it, that's exactly what life is. One big bad oration. As William Shakespeare so immortally put it, all of the world's a stage, and all the men and women are simply players. Or for a more relevant twist, all the world's a speech round. And while your movements aren't blocked and your lines aren't scripted and memorized, you're constantly speaking and communicating with the surrounding world. What message could be more important than the one you carry inside of you? That content, your beliefs, loves, fears, and hopes can't be recognized until you make others listen. As the speech comes to a close, the speaker prepares to deliver the clincher, the conclusion of the speech that will leave the audience in that moment of day we talked about earlier. Just as a speech comes to an end, so does life. And naturally, we don't want our years of struggle and perseverance on this earth to be in vain. We strive for remembrance. In an anonymous poem entitled The Dash, a poet writes, "The more I think about the tombstone, the only important thing is the dash. Yes, I see the name of the person, but that I might forget. I also read the date of birth and death, but even that might not stick. But thinking about a person, I can't help but remember the dash, because that represents a person's life, and that will last. So as you begin to charter your life, make sure you're on a positive path, because people may forget your birth and death, but they will never forget your dash. Remember those speech class tips. Stay true to your message. Be clear and concise, and translate that into the 1,440 minutes of your daily life. Those role models, they're out there. And if you need help finding one, just look at Matty Stepanek and all he managed to accomplish in the few years he was alive. Or take on the gumption of James Earl Jones, and don't settle for imperfections just because they're small. All you really need to know, you learned in speech class. It's up to you to take advantage of it.